What was that, the wind or it's raining?
The AC unit, I think.
Yeah,
AC.
so we're good.
Because it was snowing a little bit today, right?
It's crazy. It was 89 last week.
I lived in Dallas, it's the same.
Yeah, you get it.
They say in Texas, if you don't like the weather, come back tomorrow.
It's true.
It'd be different.
It's gonna be totally different tomorrow.
Welcome back to Mind the Game, brought to you by Uninterrupted and Wondery. This is another conversation with Luka Dončić, centered around the study he commissioned through his foundation called Inside Youth Basketball. Stick around to the end of the episode where I'll talk a little bit more about why I'm on Luka's Athletes Council, why it's important to me, and how we can all help improve the landscape of youth basketball. Learn as much as you can, just as I have, and enjoy this episode of Mind the Game. You know, one of the things nowadays is that it's an arms race. My kid's got to get ahead. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like we saw Tiger Woods with a perfect swing on Johnny Carson at 2 years old, and we think that every kid's got to be great, you know, early. You know, I started playing at 13. I didn't get into the league till I was 22. Mm-hmm. Wasn't really great or a good player until like late 20s.
Bullshit,
you know,
but okay, it's okay.
But it's, you know what I mean though? Like, I feel like the pressure on the parents is that your kid's gotta be a early adopter. They gotta be better early, when really like we all develop at our own rate, right?
Yeah.
You can still be great.
That's social media too, because you're seeing everything right now. You're seeing everything over there. Like when we were growing up, our parents didn't know if this kid had a trainer or if this kid was doing, you didn't really see that shit.
Yes.
You know, our parents only knew that, okay, you want to play soccer? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
You want to play football? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
You want to do something else now? You don't want to do it? Okay, relax. It was not like, we see this kid, he's being trained 5 days a week. Oh shit, well, my kid's not being trained 5 days a week, he's not gonna make it.
Right.
It wasn't, we didn't see that.
And now it's not the kid's journey.
Right.
It's the parent's journey. Whereas when you're growing up, you're thinking, Randy keeps pushing me left. I hate that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna learn to go left, right? And now it's just you and him know that we're in this little battle every day, all summer, instead of it's on social media, parents are talking about it, coach, you know what I mean? It's like this high performance thing. I'd love to know from you what the transition was. So you played a lot of informal basketball growing up, other sports, you're on the playground, outside school. What was it like when you went to Madrid? 13 years old?
13.
Real Madrid.
Yeah, I mean, it was a difficult decision, honestly. First, I didn't know the language yet. I know a little bit, just like, hello, how are you? But then nobody spoke my language. I was learning a little bit of English, so I knew a little bit. But it was hard. So that's basically then when almost everything moved to basketball. I was playing a little bit soccer because I used to go with the players that were there, soccer players. We went to the same school, so we used to play a little bit, but they were soccer players, so I couldn't do nothing.
Sure.
But it was a lot, you know. I think first 2-3 months I almost didn't spoke to anybody, you know. But that's how I learned Spanish so quickly. And after that, it was an amazing journey, man.
Yeah.
It was something that changed my life for better.
How long was you there for? How long was you in Madrid for?
7 years.
That's amazing.
Yeah, wow.
That's incredible.
6 years. 6 years.
13 to 19?
Yeah.
That's incredible.
6 years.
Yeah, and what was the structure like in Madrid? So like you go there as 13 years old, you're in a dorm, you're with a family?
Yeah, it wasn't a dorm. For my first 3 years, they were building a new dorm. Yeah. We were in the dorm of the school. So it was 3 people per room. It was very small.
Don't speak Spanish?
Don't speak Spanish. I had a Brazilian guy, I think. Can't remember. I can't remember who I was with because we always changed. But first it was cool. So first 3 years. But then we went to a nice. Then Real Madrid built his own dorm. It was super nice. It was like living at a hotel. So
nice.
That was different.
And how was the day? Like, did you go to practice, then school, or school, then practice? What was the day like?
Yeah, we started at 7:30, something like that. To 8:30 we had practice. And then from 9:15 to 5:30 was school.
9:15 to 5:30?
Yeah.
No wonder you're so smart.
Thank you. Appreciate that. And then from 6 to 9 was practice. So
6 to 9?
Yes. On Wednesday we didn't have practice, but every other day, and then Saturday, Sunday games.
Well, that's a good point because, I feel like here, and you can attest this, LeBron is like, we play a lot of games.
Yeah, it's different than Europe.
Yeah, explain the difference. Like I think the AAU stuff has gotten where it's showcase, game. Yeah. Whereas it feels like, I don't think Real Madrid's unique in this way, that in Europe in general, you're practicing more than you're playing.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I would still say Real Madrid is unique.
Okay, no offense. Madrid is Madrid. It's great. Okay, we get it.
Yeah.
But I think like in Slovenia, you're not playing 5 games a week.
Yeah, no, it's the same. I think the whole Europe is the same. We didn't play that much. Same, on the weekends, it's only game. 2, maybe even 1.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of practice, but I love practice. We had a lot of skill set first, but that was like half an hour, 45 minutes.
Fundamentals.
Yeah.
Skills.
Just to warm up, and then we would play. But that's a lot of different exercise playing. It's not just 5-on-5, 3-on-3. It's advantage, 4-on-3, 2-on-3. It's just
learning to read.
Yeah.
Learning to react. Like that was an emphasis in Europe.
Yes.
That's the biggest difference.
Yeah.
Between youth basketball in Europe and America is that it's the development skill, the fundamentals are not expressed. It's like just play. Just play, and a lot of guys and a lot of kids are not developing their skill. They're not developing the fundamentals. Like you just said, there was times during practice that it was all about, advantage basketball. Right. 4-on-3, 3-on-2. If I can create 2 on the ball, then I know we have a numbers advantage. Instead of reading the game that way, a lot of kids think, we grew up, if I have 2 on the ball, then I have to figure out a way how to get around this guy or split the double team. Right. I still have to be able to score, and
really
that is just, it stops you from reading the game.
Yep.
And you can make it through grade school playing that way. You can make it through high school. You can make it through college. And some guys figure out a way to even make it through the NBA. But as far as how to be great,
right,
to be great and transcended and being able to inspire your teammates, inspire yourself, inspire your family, inspire the game. Yeah. Being able to be on that wavelength, and I think that's the kind of different, the difference between how they grow up in Europe teaching the game and how we, teach the game here. I think it's a lost art here.
This episode is sponsored in part by American Express. American Express knows that for an obsessive basketball fan like me, the playoffs mean a lot of travel time. Between broadcasting games and catching up with old teammates, I'm on the road almost every week, from Boston to LA and everywhere in between. After all these years, I've learned that the journey is as important as the destination. That's why I've always tried to find a spot to stretch, grab a coffee, and get my mind right before heading over to the arena. Fortunately, there's a card that makes every part of that journey better. With Amex Platinum, you earn 5 times membership rewards points on prepaid hotels and flights booked through AmexTravel.com on up to $500,000 on flight purchases per year. Plus, you get access to the Centurion Lounge, which makes travel that much more enjoyable. That's the powerful backing of American Express. Terms apply. For more information, visit americanexpress.com/travel. And now a word from our sponsor, DraftKings. Over to you, Jason.
With DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA, you're not just watching history, you're betting on it. Now's your shot to get in on the action. Player props, game lines, live bets. This is playoff betting at its finest. New to DraftKings? Bet just $5, and if your bet hits, you'll cash in with $300 in bonus bets. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code MIND. That's code MIND for new customers to get $300 and bonus bets if your bet wins when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY at 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bet must win to receive reward. Minimum minus 500 odds required. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
It goes back a little bit to your point about this competitive pressurized system where it's about the kid showing how good he is instead of making the right plays, making the game simple. Something you guys have done naturally, and it's probably not all natural. You've learned because you had good coaching along the way to make the right play. Like you can make a spectacular play, but make the right play more times than not. Like they're going to put 2 on you guys. And if you go against the 2 all the time, you're not always going to have success. Whereas if you make the right decision, like you said, you empower your teammates, you make them feel better, you make the game easier for yourself. It feels like that's different in Europe because coaches aren't all about this kid's going to raise my profile. It's like our team has got to learn to play together. Did you feel that at Madrid where it's about, of course, we want to develop Luka, but we want to develop a team here that knows how to play the right way?
Yeah, definitely. Especially when I was, let's say about 15, I had a coach that was hard. It was hard on me, hard on everybody.
Yeah.
Like from 1 to 12, he did the same thing to everybody. It wasn't like just one person. So that's really when I started to playing like, when I was 15, I started my first practices with the first team. I was scared. I was nervous. But at some point you get used to it. So I debuted when I was 16. I was
crazy.
shaking. I still remember the moment. But I think in Europe, like watching EuroLeague now, watching EuroLeague before, it just like it's more about the team. Team-wise, teamwork. But it's different rules in the NBA. I always said that. When I said it's easier to score in the NBA, it's because it's just different rules. You have a lot of more spacing. You have more minutes. It's 8 more minutes. Anything happens in 8 minutes. So it's just because of that. Like in Europe, you get a big guy like, for example, like Eddie Tavares. He plays in Madrid. He's just standing in the paint. Like he can stand in the paint. He's 220.
Right.
It's hard to score.
Yeah.
Like it's impossible. Here you can't do that because it's 3-second violation.
Yeah. Again, I mean, the NBA is trying to make it as entertaining as possible too, right? So the game's slightly different than in Europe where it's still, maybe the roots of the game are still there. But it is like, it's an interesting point to think about the way our kids grow up learning the game, the culture around the game, and that difference is really important. I think you see it so often, just the thought process. And unfortunately, I think there's something to be said for that creeping into the system and the parents too. Right? They're worried about their kids' position here. Let me make a comment that I have to part of this too, but my generation of parents, being 51 now, the last kind of 20, 25 years of parenting, we've been all over our kids, trying to protect them. You just mentioned you had a coach that was all over you.
Yeah.
My high school coach, college coach, all my coaches were all over me. Your high school coach was on you.
Yep.
Like he's not putting up with, poor decisions, not playing the right way. That has become so hard nowadays because of the commercialization.
Yeah.
So whether it's a skills trainer, an AAU coach, you don't feel one, that your business can suffer losing the kid. So it's not as frequent that we're going to tell a kid the truth and be tough on them all the time.
Yeah, because you're afraid they're going to leave.
And in college too.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? And now for money.
Right.
You get on the street for a few more bucks.
But at some point, I think you need that.
You got to have it.
Yeah.
Or I'll say it's a disservice to our kids because we have to let them suffer and struggle, right? And feel that pressure that's going to make you better, not the pressure that's going to make you not love the sport.
Yeah. I've never got involved with my kids' coaches.
That's for them.
From Bronny growing up to where he is now, and Bryce, on his way to Tucson, to Arizona. I've never got involved. I've never went to a practice and sat through practice the whole time and see how my son was being utilized. I never got on the phone with the coaches. Listen, he's there to coach my son, coach him however you want to. And I think you need to hold him accountable. I hope you hold him more accountable than any other kid here, you know, and say what the fuck you need to say, no matter how it's being said, because sometimes it's not. If you could just take the message, and not about how he's saying it, just take the message out of it. You know, I think that builds character as well, you know, and I think it's part of the reason why they are where they are at their stages in their lives. You know, babying your kid and always, you know, thinking that your kid is this and thinking your kid is that, and not allowing coaches to coach them or not allowing people to be hard on them. And as soon as a coach or someone says something to them, you pull them and go somewhere else, or, you know, or as soon as someone says something bad about your kid, you're the first person to go talk in his face. It's like, all right, you fucking go coach him then. Like, you know?
It's like, really, life is way more no's than yes. If our kids aren't used to hearing no, like how are they gonna survive when they're adults, right? And I think that's what, right, as parents, my generation of parents, putting myself in this picture, we're so scared to let our kids fail, let them struggle, let them learn from that failure. Now, how do they face, you know, moments, adversity, resilience? How do they build those scars? So, you know, I think all three of us were fortunate. Like it changed, like it was pivotal in my journey that my college coach was on my ass. Every day.
I would say the same.
Yeah. And that, in particular, that coach when you were 15 was the one of the main ones. That was, like, give me examples. Because I don't think kids today understand. Like, they're going to say, oh, I'm sure Luka's coach never yelled at him.
Yeah, no, he did. I think one example was we were up, it was quarterfinals or around 16. We were up by like 30 at halftime, but I was bullshitting a little bit.
No.
He yelled at me. He made me cry.
At halftime?
Yeah. But as like, this coach like changed a little bit of how I view basketball, like during the time. And like that year, I think we didn't lose a game. And we won the finals by 30 points. And just, I mean, I think everybody needs it. To be like a really good player, you need the guy like they'll tell you everything, especially coach. And, you know, I love him for that he did that for me.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, especially you two guys come in to the NBA straight. I mean, you coming obviously from a professional team, but as a teenager, and you're not going to college, like that experience was pivotal for me. So you're lucky, right? You had a high school coach that was like, this is how you're going to play.
Absolutely. I mean, he was on my ass from day one, you know, and I had my high school coach was a college coach at Eastern Michigan.
That's right.
At one point. And so.
He knew what you were going to see.
Yeah. So he knew, you know, what I was going to see. He actually coached a couple pros that made it to the NBA, you know, while he was in college. But, you know, from day one, when I stepped foot, you know, as a freshman, you know, he was literally like on me, crazy, you know, and like one story, you know, Coach D was out of his mind. He was a lunatic. He just finally retired from coaching last year at Duquesne. Finally was retired. But like, you know, my freshman year, you know, I made, you know, all county, all city, all state. We didn't lose a game my freshman year. We won the state championship. I was state championship MVP for the tournament. And, you know, so I come in first practice my sophomore year. I'm kind of feeling myself a little bit. We won it all. I'm getting a little praise, whatever. First day of practice my sophomore year, he kicked me out of practice.
Just to put the marker down.
Yeah, just to put the mark. He looked at me and said, best sophomore in the country, my ass. Get the fuck out of here. And kicked me out of practice my sophomore year. You know, and I was obviously pissed off, like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Why is he picking on me?
They were picking on me. But he set the tone. He set the tone for that season. It's like, I'm not gonna even allow you to even think about getting overly confident or having a big head coming in here. Because this shit is not about you. You know, it's about what we're trying to build. And he knew, like, you are the guy, but I'm not about to give you no indication that you are. So, you know, and a lot of the things that I learned from him, I still like just use to this day, just like being held accountable and, you know, being a player's coach, being able to be coachable. You know, and, you know, so absolutely, just having that tough love, you know, is.
He gave you a gift that day.
Absolutely.
But you don't realize it at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, you know how many practices we've been in, and for us to be able to remember two moments in our careers, you know, that lets you know that shit is instilled in our brain and it played a part of who we are today, you know?
And unfortunately, you know, going back to this again, like how many parents are allowing that these days?
Yeah.
Right, that's the tough part. How was your dad with you, being a great player in EuroLeague? Like how what was his part of your basketball journey?
I mean, I don't think he didn't get involved.
Yeah.
Like you say, you know.
But there's a great lesson.
Like he said, with his kids, you know, he didn't don't talk to the coach, nothing. You know, he was just, you know, being there to support, but didn't do much. Like what I'm saying, being involved.
That's your journey.
Yeah.
Right. It's the same. Like, you know, if I went home and told my dad, you know, Coach, motherfuck me today.
Oh, he would be good for you. Good for him.
My dad would have said to me, "What'd you do, you little shit? You know, what'd you do? You must have done something, right?
Yeah.
Let you go and figure those things
sure.
out, right? Yeah, I think it's look, it's not like we're gonna put it all back in the bottle,
Yeah, for sure.
right? But things like your program can help, like just make
I think
headway.
that's awesome.
Step by step.
I think that's awesome, step by step, baby
Step by
steps. I think that's awesome.
Continue to just make a little influence on the way we think about it. And I do
that's
think,
awesome.
that I keep bringing up the parents, but I do think we have to help educate parents. Because a lot of them don't know.
Yeah.
You know, how would they know?
Right.
They're told, you know, you got to sign them up for this, that. They got to be with me all year round. You know, they don't understand. Let the kid run his own or her own race. Let them figure it out, find the joy and passion on their own, all those things that are so important. I think that your program is giving us a chance to you committed money and resources through your foundation to commission a study. Like it's not just us three talking.
Right.
You know, hopefully we know a few things through our experiences, but you commission a study. Like that's an amazing commitment
dope
to the
as hell.
landscape, right?
Congrats.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Really, congrats.
You're involved as well, right?
I'm here to
that's
help. Here to
That's
help.
pretty fucking cool.
We'll be calling you too. And
You know, I got a couple ideas.
I bet you do. I mean, you've seen it firsthand already, right?
For sure. For sure.
That's
Let's do
great.
it.
After many years in the game, both on court and off, I know all about high-stakes showdowns. That's why I'm hooked on Michael Crichton's Binary on Audible. From the creator of Jurassic Park and ER comes this classic techno thriller about a radical aiming to bring down the government with a deadly nerve gas. The cat and mouse game between the terrorist and a determined State Department agent had me on the edge of my seat in the ride over here. But Audible isn't just about heart-pounding thrillers. From electrifying suspense and daring quests to spine-tingling horror and romance in far-off realms, Audible delivers thrills of every kind on your command. You'll find gripping titles that keep you guessing, exclusive Audible originals, and bestsellers that hook you from the first minute. Ready for your next great adventure? Sign up for a free 30-day trial at audible.com/game and discover what lies beyond the edge of your seat. But going back to like in Europe, in Madrid, they're teaching you to play and think through the prism of team game, making the right decisions. You know, our kids are a little bit corrupted, partly by social media, that it's about his bag, he's got this, what can he do here, what can he do?
What does it even mean, having a bag?
Bag of tricks. But you know, like think about it. Like you guys both you made a couple tonight, crazy shots. You made a couple tough fadeaways tonight. But the reason you guys are great players is because most of the time you can do the easy shit. Get to the rim, finish, make your free throws, make your open threes. Okay, then you get to the step back, boom. The game is won on making fundamental plays, not your bag, right? I know they don't talk about that in Europe when you're growing up, right?
No, I never heard the thing bag since until I came to the NBA.
Right. And when I was growing up, it wasn't talked about it. Like the least amount of dribbles to get where you need to get to was when I grew up.
Efficiency.
Michael Jordan wasn't out there dribbling 1,000 times, you know, to get to the spot. He'd get to a spot and raise. You know, Isaiah Thomas, as great of a handle Isaiah Thomas had, Isaiah get to a spot and raise. You know, all these guys that I grew up, Grant Hill, get to a spot. I'm bigger than you.
Straight line.
Big Dog Robinson, I'm bigger than you. Allen Houston, all these great players, that I grew up watching and admiring. Penny Hardaway, yes, they could dribble the basketball, but it's no Tracy McGrady. Even as great as Tracy's handle was, it was, I'm bigger than you. I'm gonna get to the spot in the least amount of dribbles. Kevin Garnett, it's
good footwork, get
just
up over
good
top.
footwork, get over the top. If I'm a bigger than you and I get you on my shoulder, I get you on my hip, I'm gonna use my size. I see it all the time. It's like, I'll be on social media, it's like LeBron has no bag. It's like, I'm sitting over here with
What is that?
LeBron has no bag, and I'm sitting like at 50 billion points.
Right, leading scorer of all time in the NBA, no bag.
That
proves the point.
Yes, just play the game the right way, and I hope that our generation, our younger generation, don't get, swamped by saying, okay, I need a bag, I need a bag, I need a bag. Like, work on your game, know what you're going to be good at in order to help the team, and prove the next year to be a better player.
Right.
If you come in as a guy that's my offensive game is not developed, come in, you defend, you get extra possessions, you get extra rebounders for the guys. Okay, and then next year you work on your game in the offseason. It's only one or two, if 3 guys maximum, that's going to be handling the fucking ball anyways.
Right.
We don't need you to have a bag.
Right.
Yeah.
It's only going to be, we have the luxury of having 3 guys, us 2 and AR, but not many teams have 3 guys that's going to be handling the ball like that anyways. You can make $200 million in the NBA if you defend and shoot a corner 3-pointer.
That's it, you're gonna play.
But that's the biggest point, and I'd love to hear your perspective on this, but all the time you're doing this that you're never ever gonna use as the levels go up, if you can just make open shots, space the floor, play smart, you can go up a level.
Yeah, 100%. Like he said, I don't have nothing more to add.
Yeah, that's the thing, right?
But it's true, yeah.
But the thing is, you guys are creators. In the way the game's played today, we put shooters on the floor to create space for the creator.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
They make you better by creating space. You make them better by being a creator. The minute one of them starts doing this, they're going out of the game.
Yeah.
Right? So it's interesting the way we perceive, or we allow our kids to perceive that. I don't know why that has been able to have a louder voice than coaching, than fundamentals, than team play.
Right.
And I think, one more important thing is, for guys, know your role. Know what you do good and do that, Don't do something that you're not good at. It's not gonna help.
It's gonna expose you.
Such an important part of winning teams is knowing your role.
Know your role.
Right? Starring at your role, being able to be good at your role, right? When guys start to have the wrong perspective on their role, play outside themselves, team is going down the other way. How do we get kids to appreciate the fundamentals rather than the highlight reels, the mixtapes?
We have to teach them. There has to be teach.
I think that's a great word. I think, unfortunately, there's not enough teaching.
It's not enough teachers.
Right, not enough teachers. Great point.
It's hard to teach if the teachers don't know what the hell they're teaching.
Right. It's more about scheduling tournaments and games and
it's a lot.
Running your
what I
social
learned, it's a lot of games here.
a lot of games.
They play a lot of games, less practice.
Yeah.
But in the end, the greatest players come from America, so they're doing something good.
Well, let's talk about that for a second, because you could make a case that of the top players in the league, there's got to be 5 of the top 5 to 10 are from Europe.
Correct.
Right?
Now. Yeah.
Right? But
Not
why?
before.
Well, why? I think what we're talking about plays a role in this. I'll make a statement that'll probably be aggregated, and I'll be a meme for this, but America's not great at player development. I'm not saying there's not great coaches here, but not enough. I think one of the problems with America in all sports, to defend America, is it's too big.
It is.
There's no one way, there's no one system, there's no one idea. We're all competing, and I think that's allowed the commercialization to kind of influence the game.
That's a good point.
Think about the Slovenians.
It ain't getting no smaller.
Right, it's not getting smaller.
Not getting no damn
well,
smaller.
it might right now, but that's another topic. but Slovenia, 2 million people wins a Euro Cup. That's crazy to think about.
That's crazy.
Right, but that's because it was fundamentals, it was team play. You guys, you could say, you were what, 18, 17?
18.
18? You'd say, okay, well, we didn't know that Luka was Luka completely yet. Maybe going to that tournament, we knew you were going to be an NBA player. We didn't know you were going to be what you are.
Yeah.
You kind of announced.
I didn't know either.
Yeah, but you announced yourself there and at Madrid and the EuroLeague, all that stuff. But the teamwork, right? 2 million people. You see it all over the world. I think sometimes we forget, like, America's so big, so many opinions, so many regions.
It was also such a pride thing too.
Great point.
When you live in Slovenia, you live in some of these countries that's not as big as obviously, American cities. It's a sense of pride to be able to go out there and represent your country.
Yeah.
Everything is city based here. And it took a while for us, as far as the Olympics, to get that sense of pride back.
Right.
When we got our ass kicked in 2004, and then we lost in the World Championship in 2006. It took us time to be like, oh, like, this is real. Like, the rest of these countries not only are getting better with the game of basketball, but it's a sense of pride too. And when you have that sense of pride, you have a sense of work ethic that goes a lot longer. You have a sense of accountability that's a little bit longer. You have a sense of just wanting to be there, because you know what you're representing.
Great point.
And I think a lot of that has to do with it too, because it's just cities.
So big.
Yeah, it's like America, but it's like everybody talking about, where you from? I'm from Chicago. I'm from Houston. I'm from LA.
Nobody says America.
Yeah, no one says, everyone says the city they're from.
That's right.
And it's country based all over the world. It's like, and it's a sense of pride.
Yeah.
And you see that, like, I've obviously been a part of 4 USA teams to be able, and then you see that, you feel that, you actually really feel it. You feel it from not only the competition on the floor, but you feel it from the fucking chants.
Right.
Of the fans in the
Passion
crowd,
of the crowd.
how passionate it is, so.
That's what I play. That's what I play every year since.
But that's an interesting point about the cities, is that you see, like, if there's a way out, like, that's a way out for a lot of American players, right? Oh, someone else can play. You can't not play for Slovenia, right? Like, you all feel like we got to play because we're all we have.
True.
Like, tell me about that feeling, though, and the connection with the fans. Because I went back for Goran Dragic's retirement games, sold out in like 5 minutes, 2 minutes.
I mean, we had some great names coming, so.
That's true. But still,
Steve
like,
Nash.
yeah. But still, like, for, a country of that size, like, it's got to be, there's a connection. There's a way of, we have to play this way. We need all our guys.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I always play, I was, because of pride, and I like to represent my country. But you see, there's, my country lives for, like, sports. There's a lot of, for how small we are, I think we have a great sports people.
Oh, unreal.
Bicyclists, we have ski
Pogačar?
jumpers. How?
How do you say Pogačar?
Pogačar. You were close.
How many Tour de France he won?
Oh, I don't know. But a lot, probably.
Yeah, he's won a few. You got NBA, you got soccer, you got ski jumpers, everything. You guys, for 2 million people, it's incredible.
It's a lot, So, but that's when, like, the crowd is into it, I think we give back a lot to our country. So that's why the crowd and the people are really into sports.
That's awesome.
Well, I want to salute you on
absolutely.
This incredible Inside Youth Basketball study.
Thank you.
I'm happy to be along for the journey and can't wait
cheers
for
to that,
this,
man.
this
Cheers to
impact.
that. Cheers to that. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Cheers to our youth, to our kids.
Thank you for having me.
I hope you enjoyed that conversation with Luka Dončić, being a part of his Athletes Council for his Inside Youth Basketball study has been a pleasure for me. It's something that's near and dear to my heart. As someone that fought his way all the way through a long career of basketball, it always fascinates me, the landscape that kids have to navigate. How can we help them reach for their dreams? Of course, not all kids are going to make the NBA, but in all sports, kids should have joy, passion, support, belief, systems that allow them to learn the characteristics of teamwork, collaboration, learning how to succeed, fail, growing up at the appropriate times, resilience. There's so many things that sport affords us. And when his study came out and other studies similar that have said that 70% of kids have quit sports by the time of 13 because there's too much pressure in the system. There's not enough joy or fun, not enough childhood involved in youth sports, it's alarming. And it's something that I feel very passionate about, not just from the athlete development component, but from developing the health and wellness of our kids and our communities. Sports is such an incredible tool that offers us a place to learn, to grow, to find out who we are, to make friends, teammates, to collaborate. So many gifts that allow us to succeed in life, whether it's with our families, with our careers, jobs, dealing and navigating with the adversity that we all find in life. These are all things that can really be developed through sport. So when I hear kids are quitting sport, I think it's important for us to really dig deep and find out why kids are quitting and why sport for life is not the goal here, where joy and passion and being able to enjoy the fruits of a childhood, being active, being healthy, being a teammate, having core memories around sport is so important to our communities, to our families, to our kids. So I feel honored, one, to have spoken to Luka deeply about why he commissioned this study, why he wants to affect youth basketball the way he does, and how we can all come together and learn, share best practices, and find a way to be more efficient and effective at helping our youth enjoy sports, whether you're a high performer or whether you're just participating and want to be a part of a team or learn a skill. So important for our communities to give our kids a place to learn, to grow, to fail, to bounce back, and to ultimately succeed in life. So thank you for watching Mind the Game. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please subscribe if you haven't, and look forward to seeing you next time.
Absolutely.
Anytime.
Get him on up out of here.
What you doing next week?
Get him up out of here. Get him up out of here.
Playing.
Sound guy, get his mic. Let him get up out of here.
Thanks for watching Mind the Game. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe for more content.